in chapter 11, let's say we have this item and we ask you to solve. So if you were to have this thing here, you can see that in chapter 6, right? In chapter 6, when they ask you to solve, in chapter 6, when they ask you to solve by factor, then we need to factor out, right? We need to factor out, we need to ask ourselves, is there a factor? And as you can see in here, as you can see with this problem, there is nothing you can factor, right? There is no way you can tell me that there is a number multiplied to give me 7, but subtract to give me 5, right? There is no way, there's no combination, there's no multiple of 7, because 7, there's only two numbers, 7 times 1. And 7 times 1 is 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. We are not looking for 6. If the middle number is 6, we can factor. But for this one here, we cannot factor. And this item in chapter 6, we say that this is prime, right? But in chapter 7, there's a little bit different, right? We have this quadratic formula. In chapter 11, I'm not 7, 11, we have this item here that our answer will be x equal to, because that's what we try to solve. We try to solve for x. And x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that's what our formula is. So if you want to solve this item, reminder, this is the one thing that you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what is my a term, what is my b term, and what is my c term? So the first thing is, again, as always, anything in front of the x squared, that is your a term. So in this case, my a term is 1, my b term is -5, and my c term is 7. The constant, right? This is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. So everybody see the difference in terms of chapter 11 is we need to identify my A, my B, and my C. So now all you need to do is fill in, plug it into the equation, right? So if you plug it in, this is what we have is the equation tells us that there's a negative B. In this case, negative B will be -5 plus or minus square root of b squared, which is -5 squared, minus 4 is a fixed number, times 1 times -7, all over 2 times a, which is times 1. So basically, all I do is wherever I see my b, I plug in my b. Wherever I say my a, I plug in the 1 with the a. And again, wherever I see my C, I plug in the -7. So looking at this thing here, as you can see, we know that a negative and a negative, this will give me a positive 5, plus or minus, as you can see, this is -5 times -5, which is -5 times -5 will give me positive 25. And this right here, we have a -4 -7 to give me a positive 28 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So again, everybody see where my number come from. I plug in my A, my B, and my C. A negative and negative will give me positive 5. -5 times -5 to give me a positive 25. And like I mentioned to you guys yesterday, this number right here will always be positive because the square will cancel off the negative item out. So that item positive. And again, negative times a negative will give me a positive 4 times 7 will give me a positive 28. And again, the reason why I say it's easy, because if you look at this item here, this is what we have is 5 plus or minus square root 25 plus 28. 25 plus 28 will give me 53 all over 2. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your answer. Why? Because 53, there is no, 53 is a prime number. There is no hidden perfect square. 53 cannot divide by 2 because it's odd. 3 cannot go 52, 5 cannot go 52, I mean 53, 7 cannot go into it, 13 cannot go into it. This is prime, meaning this is your answer. There is no, you don't need to simplify anything out. What you can do if you don't have the notation, this is what you can do is a 5 plus square root of 53 divided by 2, or 5 minus square root of 53 divided by 2. Basically, those are your two answer, right? Your one answer is positive, the other answer is negative. Basically, that's what the positive and negative here, that's what they does, is they tell you that you have two different answer, and this is will be the two answer. So question here, ladies and gentlemen, question on how to take this item right here, how to take this item and find the answer that we have earlier. Find the answer, take this item, find the 2x you have, right? What we have is x equal to this item and x equal to that item. Those are your 2x. Question. Now, let's put B, let's put the obstacle together with what we have, right? Let's say if I give you something like this, let's say x squared plus 4 equal to 6x. So let's put off obstacle. We did not do this yesterday. We kind of run out of time yesterday. But let's say if you have this item, remember one thing. For B, remember one thing is, before we can identify what is my A, what is my B, and what is my C, reminder that problem, your equation have to be equal to equal to 0. So one thing is, if you look at this item here, we can see that it's not equal to 0, it's equal to 6. And if it's equal to 6x to be exact, what do we do? What do we need to do? Well, we need to get rid of this thing here, and we need to subtract 6x to both sides. So that question will be x squared minus 6x plus 4 equal to 0. That's what you need to see, is you need to see that they are equal to 0. And if it's not equal to 0, all you need to do is subtract or add, do the opposite operation to move this item over here. And again, you need to put them in descendant order. Make sure that you have a x squared and an x and a constant. Because if you have it in this term, everybody see that we know that my A is 1, my B is -6, and my C is 4. And I advise you guys to first by moving across the equal sign and set it equal to 0 first. I know some of you guys say, oh, Mr. Tran, the thing in front of x squared is the A, the thing in front of the x is the B, and the constant is the C. Yes. And if you do that and you see this thing here, a lot of my previous students, they say, oh, then this item right here is my B. But again, it's on the other side equal sign. It's not equal to 0. In order for us to know the A, B, and C, reminder your standard form of the quadratic is this item. The quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Okay. So in order for you to identify the A, the B, and the C, make sure that it's equal to 0 first. And the next problem was, you will see that, something other than this item. So once you have that, reminder that this is our equation. Our equation is -b squared plus or n minus square root of, not -b squared, sorry, -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, I believe on your final exam, they give you the formula, so you don't really need to remember the formula. Whatever formula that they ask you, they will give you the formula, like the slope intercept, the slope, the equation of the line, and now the quadratic or the Pythagorean theorem, the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So whatever formula they ask you, they give you the formula, so you don't need to remember your formula. You just need to know what to do with the formula, right? So if you plug this thing in, reminder, the formula is negative, so we put in a -6 plus or minus, same idea, -6 square minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2 times 1. So looking at this item here, we know that a negative and a negative become a positive. In this case, as you have +6 plus or minus square root of 36, because 6 times 6 is 36, minus 16 all over 2. Again, -4 times 1, still -4. -4 times 4 will give me -16. And now what do? We combine this item inside, which 36 take away to give me 20. And this problem, unlike the previous problem, again, unlike the previous problem, the 20, there is a perfect square, right? And we did this item here last, we did this item, and we say that this is what we is 4 times 5 is 20. And why we use 4? Because 4 is a perfect square. What can go outside? Well, square, and when square, later in German, we can bring out a 2. And we did this yesterday, and I told you, and that this thing here, ladies and gentlemen, looking at this thing here, everybody agree that this line right here tell me that is the division. And when you have a division, this is technically, this is what you have, is you take this 2, go into this item, and 2 go into that item. Meaning technically, this is what we have, is 6 divided by 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 5 divided by 2. Remember, in order for you to add or subtract, we need to have a common denominator. And if we have a common denominator, everybody see that back then, if we have a common denominator, we combine the top and kept the. So if we have one denominator, this is what we do, is we can split into 2 fractions. And why do I split into 2 fractions? Because it's easy for you to see that if you split into 2 fractions, what is 6 divided by 2? Well, 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. This 2 over 2 is equal to 1. I still have a square root of 5. Because it's a whole number, and again, you don't put the 1, we know it's 1. We know 1 square root of 5, right? So again, this is the idea that yesterday I did not able to show you guys because I type it up. This is the idea. One answer, 3 plus square root of 5, and the other answer is 3 minus square root of 5. The reason is, again, the 2 right here, this 2 can go and to the whole number. And that's the only reason why this is the only reason why we can simplify. Why we can simplify, and why this problem up here, we cannot simplify, right? Why we cannot simplify this problem? Because of the 53 is on the inside of the radical. The inside of a radical, there's can do, in order for you to cancel out, you have to cancel out the whole number with the whole number, right? So this radical is just that radical. That's why once you combine them, there's nothing you do. But B is a little bit hard because you can simplify them. And again, once you simplify them, your answer will be 3 plus square root of 5 and 3 minus square root of 5. Again, 3 plus or minus. I believe, I don't know, if you do the homework, if you did the homework, I believe they have this notation. They have that notation for you guys. They don't, you just do separate, one addition, one subtraction. Question here, ladies and gentlemen, question in terms of how to solve this problem here. How to solve this problem here to get solving this problem, x squared plus 4 equal to 6x. How did we derive from that problem all the way down to give us this two answer, x plus square root 5 and x minus square root 5. So let's take a look at how can they change it up, right? Let's change the color a bit. So let's say, what if they give you let me make it up on the fly. Let's say 2x squared plus 7x minus 5 equal to 4. So 4x, not 4. Doesn't matter, 4x. I like the x better than just 4. If just 4, you can do it. This one here, you can do it too. That's not cool. I don't want, no, this, I don't want to do this. I make it up and then is, you still can do this problem. Change this to 3x. The reason is that if it's 4, you bring it over, you still can factor. I don't want to factor. But take a look at, and again, to solve this item, right? To solve this item, reminder that it has to be equal to 0 in order for you to identify what is your A, what is your B, and what is your C. This I want to identify my A, my B, and if you look at this thing here, I purposely give you have an X item and the X item. Right? So what is your, right? We don't know, right? So before we can solve this, item, reminder, you need to set this thing equal to 0. You need to set this item here, the 3x, take away 3x is equal to 0. We need that, because without that, bit trouble. So the 2x squared, still the 2x squared. 7 take away 3 still give me 4x, and minus 5 equal to 0, right? Equal to 0. So this is row, I know that is good. So now once it's equal to 0, everybody see that my A term is 2, my B term is 4, and my C term is negative 5. Everybody see that if it's not equal to 0, we have to somehow make it equal to 0. And once we make it equal to 0, anything in front of the x squared is my A term, anything in front of the x is my B term, and anything in terms of this thing here is my C. So my A item, my B item, and my C item. And once we have this thing here, all we need to do is plug into this formula. And again, negative B plus or minus, plus and minus to say, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And again, I just want to mention it is because after you repeat it 10 times, you probably will remember it. And you will see this formula again when you get to 130, when you get to the next class, ladies and gentlemen. So, right? So negative b plus or minus b square root b squared minus 4ac all over a. So what do we have? We know that my b term is negative, is the formula. The b term is 4, so it's negative 4 plus or minus minus 4 times 2 times negative 5 all over 2 times 2. Everybody see where my 4? Everybody see where my 4 come from? Where 5. It's a fixed number. This 4 never ever change, right? That is your fixed number, right? So everybody see where my 4 is the b term, my a is the 2, and my c is a negative 5. And once we have this thing here, as you can see, when you simplify, this is what you have, is you have 4 plus or minus square root of 16, because 4 times 4, minus 4 times 2 is 8, a negative 8 times 8 times 5 will give me a positive 40 all over 4. 4 times 2 will give me a negative 8. Negative 8 times a negative 5 to give me a positive 40. Now we need to combine this item here, and if I combine that item, I have 4 plus or minus square root of 56 all over 4. And again, to simplify this thing here, we cannot. 6 is under the radical, right? This is under the radical. So we cannot just simplify, divide by 2 or divide by 4. In order for you to cancel out, you can only cancel number. Or we can cancel this thing out. We have to ask ourselves, is there a perfect square inside 56, right? Can 56 divided by 4? Can 56 divided by 9? Can 56 divided by 16? Can 56 divided by 25? Can 56 divided by 36? Can 56 divided by 49? Why is this the number we're looking for? Because again, 4 is the perfect square of 25, and again, probably 6 can divide it by 4. It cannot divide by 9, ladies and gentlemen. 9 times 6 is 54. I agree with you, 8 and 7 is 56, but 8 is not a perfect square and 7 is not a perfect square. You only want to divide with a perfect square. So if you look at this thing here, we can see that 4 times 14. 4 times 14 is 56. If you in doubt, check my math. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that 4 times 14 is 56. And why do I use 4? Because 4 is a perfect square, and when it's a perfect square, in the radical is 4. But when I bring it to the outside, everybody see that I a 2, because inside the radical is 4, but when you simplify them, when you bring it to the outside, 4 is a perfect square. So when you simplify them, you take it out, you take out only 2, right? And now what can you have, ladies and gentlemen? There are 2 ways to write this answer. If you look at this thing here, like I mentioned earlier, this is one thing that you can do, is you can say, oh, the 4 go into the 4, the 4 go into the 4. So clearly you can see that 2 negative 4 is negative 1. And what is 2 over 4? Well, 2 over 4 is 1/2, right? Or in a sense that this is what we have, is basically the 2 going to 2 is 1 time, and the 2 going to 4, 2 going to 4 is 2 times. So basically this thing here is simplified to be like this. You can write it like this, in the sense that the 2 and the 14, you cannot reduce them because the 14 is inside your radical. Reminder, inside your radical, you cannot simplify with a whole number. Okay, so again, this is one way you can write your answer: -1 plus or minus square root of 14 over 2. Or you can, the other way, I don't know if MyMATLAB accepted, but the other way is this 3 item, what do they have in common? This 3 item right here, the 4 and the, see that they have a common divider of 2, meaning I can divide it by 2 to all of them. So I have -2 plus or minus root 14 all over 2. Again, the 2 and the 2 does not cancel. The 2 and the 2 does not cancel. So again, don't cancel them out. I think this is what they wanted. I think this is what they want. They want plus square 14 over 2 and -1 minus square root 14 over 2. I'm pretty sure that this is how they want it to be. I don't believe that they want this item over here. Ask you guys how to simplify, how to solve this item here. Any questions so far, ladies and gentlemen? So let's do one more. All right, and let's see. Let me give you the answer in whole number. As you can see, all the 3 problems I give you, none of the answer is a whole number. So let me give you the answer in whole number. And let's say if we have something x squared, 3x squared ax minus ax minus 4 equal to 4x. So let's say we have this item, and again, let's say that you don't know that the answer can simplify. There's no more radical, right? So this thing here, you guys see that, wait a minute, right? Wait a minute. This item is a red alert that is not equal to 0, right? Is not equal to 0, meaning I need to move this item over there. I have to change this to addition, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Change this to addition for me. Easy, right? From -8, change it to +8. So again, if you do this thing here, you can see that we need to subtract the 4x. And if we subtract the 4x, everybody see that this is my new, or this is my problem. I have 3x squared plus 4x minus 4 equal to 0. And again, this is deserve a check because it's equal to 0, right? It's equal to 0. We got a check. Once we have this equal to 0, everybody see that the only reason why we move it over, because now we can identify my A, we can identify my B, and we can identify my C, which my A is 3, my B is 4, and my C is -4. Everybody still with me here in terms of first, If it's not equal to 0, we need to move it over. And when you move it over, make sure that you put your like term with your like term. If you did not did the change of the positive, then your number a little bit off. And again, once we have this thing here, once we can identify my A, my B, and my C, all we need to do is plug into this formula, which is negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And if I plug it in, this is what I have is negative, which is negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 4 all over 2 times 3. And again, hopefully by now you can see that all we did, right, nothing new, hopefully, all we did was plugging into the formula. And once you plug into the formula, what can we do? Well, we know that this is negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16, because 4 times 4 is 16. And again, negative 4, everybody see that negative times 3 and negative 12 times negative 4, negative 12 times negative 4 will give me a positive 48, right? So again, this thing will give me a positive 48 all over 2 times 3 is not 5, ladies and gentlemen. 2 times 3 is 6. So looking at this thing here, question where my number came from. Again, my number come from here, right? My number come from the A, the B, and the C. I plug into the formula. I simplify them out. I still have not finished with the simplification. I need to simplify some more. I need to combine this item here. And if I combine that item, I have negative 4 plus or minus square root of 64. Square root of 64. That's very good. Why is good? Because hopefully you guys say, 64 is square, and you are correct. And 4, if inside is 64, the square root of 64 is 8. So that's what you do. You bring out an 8. And now this is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. Have this 2 item, and again, there's no longer a radical. Unlike the first 3 problem, there's a radical. We simplify, we say that's it. But there's no radical. This is what we have is we have negative 4 plus 8 all over 6, negative 4 minus 8 all over 6. And if you do this thing here, you can see that negative 8 plus 4 to give you 4 over 6. 4 over 6, you can reduce this to become 2 over 3, right? You can reduce this to become 2 over 3. And so your x is, and this thing right here, this thing will give me a negative 12 over 6, and negative 12 over 6 to give me negative 2, which is x equal to negative 2. So again, the 2 answer we have is 2/3, positive 2 over 3, and negative 2. Mean the positive, negative, meaning there is one positive and there's one negative, and that's what we have there. Okay. So looking at this thing here, I like I mentioned, yes, like I mentioned, if you look at the original problem we have is 3, not the original problem, but after you simplify, this is what you have. This is what our problem were, right? The 3x squared plus 4x minus 4. If this were our problem, this problem here, you can factor them out, ladies and gentlemen. You can factor them out. There is 2 number, right? If you do try and error, whoever did the try and error, and let me do the try and error. If we factor them out, you can see that the 3 is 3 times 1, the x is x, and you plug in the 2 and the 2 here. And again, this is what we have. Nope, that's not what you have. The sign are different. here, if you factor either by AC method or by try and error, this is what you factor them out. And if you factor them out, I see that this is 3x minus 2 equal to 0. How do I solve for x here? I see that I add the 2 over. I have 3x equal to 2. Divide this by 3. I have x equal to 2/3. One answer. And if I take 1x plus 2 equal to 0, I subtract 2. 1x equal to -2, or simply x is equal to -2. And again, those are my two answers here, -2 and 2/3. So again, if you solve this and you came out to be a whole number, meaning your problem can factor them out. If you solve this item and you still have a radical, right? Our answer up here, our answer, we have a radical 14. So if we have a radical 14, this problem, you cannot factor them out. There is no whole number that you can factor them out. Okay. Question would here then, let's try one more, and then I will see if you're gonna have problem. Let's try one more. Let's do this item here where your answer have an imaginary number. Let's say if we have, let's do some big number. Let's say 5x squared minus x plus 2 equal to 0. Let's say we have something like, okay, and again, this life is good, right? How good is equal to 0, right? Equal to 0, you're not winning, you're not losing. That's why it's good, right? Just kidding. So your equation is equal to 0, right? So that's what we want. We want to see the equation equal to 0, because we know that if it's equal to 0, this is my A item, this is my B item, and this is my C item, my constant, my A, my B, and my C. And again, reminder, if there's nothing in front of the X, is assumed. So if you take this thing here, we know that my A is 5, my B is -1, and my C is 2. And if you take this item and your equation B, -b square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And if we plug it in, we have a negative of a -1 plus or minus a square root of -1 square minus 4 times 5 times 2 all over 2 times 5. And question. And if you have that, you can see that a negative and a negative become a positive, which is +1. A -1 times a -1 is still a +1. Minus 4 times 1 to think in terms, -4 times -5 is -40, right? Not 40, -20. And -20 times 2 will give me -40. Or 4 times 5 is 20, 20 times 2 is 40, or 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 4 is 40. Regardless of how you do it, you still get 40. And if you look at this thing here, what do we have? Well, how do you simplify here? Square root, it's 1 minus 40. 1 minus 40 is 39. So this is what I have is 1 plus or minus square root of -39. And what is a -39? Well, you say that 39, I agree with you guys. If you guys say, oh, Mr. Chen, 39, I can divide this by 3. Yes, you could. But when you divide by 3, you have 13, meaning 3 times 13 is 39. The 3 is not a perfect square. The 13 is not a perfect square. So pretty much 39 is just 39. There's nothing you can simplify, right? You want to ask yourself, can 39 divided by 4, which you cannot? Can 39 divided by 9, which you cannot? Can 39 divided by 16, which you cannot? Can 39 divided by 20 or 39 divided by 30, which none of this thing here you can divide it evenly. But the only thing you can do, ladies and gentlemen, because of a negative inside a radical, the one thing that you need to do is you need to bring it out. So if you bring it outside, do you bring it out? Reminder, because of a negative, you can bring out an I. And again, this thing will give me positive 39 all over 10. So the two answer we have is 1 plus I square root of 39 all over 10. 1 I square root of 39 10, which in this case, this is an imaginary number, imaginary answer. And again, this thing here is basically there's no way, right? Original problem. If you look at our original problem, there's no way you can tell me that there are two numbers. Like if you take this number 5 and this number 2, if you multiply, if you do the AC method, if you do the A, you have 2 times 5 is 10. There is no way that you can find two numbers multiply to give you 10, but subtract to give you 1, right? There's no way. So you cannot factor them out. And that's why your answer look like this. Your answer look like there's a square root in it, okay? So again, looking at this thing here, looking at this item here, question, ladies and gentlemen, question on how to utilize your quadratic formula and solve your quadratic equation. Any question here? And again, hopefully you guys see that this is easy. There's nothing to it. You just plug into your formula, right? Your formula, negative b plus or minus square root of 4, not 4, square root of b square, square root of b square minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. So again, later on you will see to find a vertex and to find other fun stuff. You have other stuff that we need to, don't need it for now. We don't worry about that item yet. Okay, so question here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, if you don't have questions,